just thought I'd quickly show you something I'm trying out on the Kraton and the Talion. I bought these droop screws from Losi or TLR. I don't know if you can read that part number, but I'm hoping these will work. I've got this far so far. So this is the droop screw put into a brand new RPM arm. Now I've got an old one here which I destroyed the end, the pillow ball screw thread. So I've already done this, but what I wanted to show you was how easy it is. So I've got a 532 drill bit here, and just drill straight through the arm. Get your droop screw. This is a 3mm hex on this. Now you can see this arm's been chewed out, it's a bit bent, so on, but doesn't really matter. I want to just show you how easy it was to do it. Now I know that M2M have got some brilliant droop screws that they sell, which have only the hex up here on the threaded part, but they've been seemingly constantly out of stock, so I thought I'd try these TLR ones. It's about $10 or so Australian, not much, and I'll see how they go. So that's it, it's in, and then obviously it's adjustable like the other standard screws are. The only thing is, if you do drill these out, you will not be able to use the old screws that came with the original arms. So just be mindful, you are putting a bigger hole into the arm than what was originally designed. And yeah, hopefully this works out. I'll stop the video here and then continue with the job, and I'll show you how they turned out. Thanks guys. So we'll go on to the droop. So these screws, which look like this, so that's the original Arrma one I'm replacing with this. So the contact patch, even though it's got a hole in it, should be better than what the original one was. So what I'm using to adjust it is a 0.078 of an inch driver, but a 2mm will work. It's not an issue at all. So how I would set the droop is to start to wind the droop screw in until we get to a point where I have to compress the suspension just slightly before it will sit in onto the top mount there. So I'm going to just do a little bit more, because I find the RPM arms, after a couple of hours of driving, they actually start to flex a bit more than they did when they're new. So I'll start with that. So that's that one. So I don't know if you can see, but at the moment it's sitting up there. I've got to push it in just a little bit to get it to sit on the top mount, and then that's it, done. Droop's done. You will need to continually check that though, because as the arms age, they'll start to become more flexible and your droop will change. So you don't want the suspension to be being overdriven each time. You want the droop screw to stop it, the arm, not the suspension, not the shock. So same on this side. I'm just going to crank it down a little bit. Now these droop screws are actually right at the limit now, and they're almost perfect without even needing adjusting, but I am just, as I said, going to give them a little bit of tiny bit more tweaking just to protect my shocks, and it'll also protect the lower shock rod ends. I've got the Techno ones in here, but standard ones the same, and it will also help protect your shafts in the shocks from being bent. Okay, so there we go. They're definitely sitting nicely on there. Let's try and get a bit more light in, and I'm hoping that these will not destroy the chassis as much. Let's get that in the light. So there's a decent amount of contact there. Well, I'll give it a few runs once I get my new ESC, because my ESC died on Friday, and I'm waiting to find out what will happen. So I'm going to finish rebuilding this car. I've got a heap of parts coming, and I've got a lot of stuff to do. New radio tray and new battery box, a few different things I've got to put in. I had a big impact a few weeks ago which broke it, the battery tray and things like that, so I've ordered a heap of stuff for the car. Anyway, that's just a brief look at the workshop and what I do, how I do things a little bit here. If you needed those droop screw part number, it was a TLR 245000. That's the droop screws that I've used. Obviously you need to drill out the arms a tiny bit just to get a bit more play to get them in, because they are a much heavier screw than the stock Arrma grub screw that's in the arm. So just be aware that if you don't want to use them anymore, you won't be able to use the original grub screw. So that's just a word of warning. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.